Cello Corner, and today we're going to talk about how to take care of your instrument. Since last time we did how to get started, now that you have a cello, or hopefully you got one in the meantime, then just a little tips about how to take care of it, because it's pretty expensive and you don't want it to break super easily. So these are just some precautions that you might want to apply to avoid any accident that could happen. First off would be where you're gonna put your cello when you get it. You probably want to put it in a room where it's temperature controlled, so not too hot, not too warm, where the humidity level is controlled as well. So nowhere that is super dry or super humid, something in the middle. If you do not have a controlled room at home, then you just want to keep it as often as possible in your case, so that way it's just gonna temperate itself, and then you can put the humidifier like I was talking about last time, so you could do that as well. If you do leave it outside of the case on a cello holder or support, then make sure that the ambience of the room is very balanced. It is especially hard for climate like in Canada or North America, where the winter is super harsh, and then you heat up the house and then the house becomes very dry, and that really does have an impact on the instruments. So make sure that you provide all of the care, because sometimes what can happen is that the cello will expand or decrease depending on the level of humidity where you live, and then that will have an impact on the glue, and the seams might get unglued. And that's nothing too troublesome. You just have to bring it to the luthier so he can glue it back together. If you do not bring it to the luthier and then you let it sit and then it gets more and more unglued, and then you play and it vibrates and there's a kind of a buzzing sound, then at some point it might get a little bit worrisome, but normally it's no trouble. Also, leaving it inside the case prevent a lot of little accidents that could happen if you leave it in a corner or on the ground, where somebody could just walk and not see it and make it fall over. Or then sometimes, even if it's in the corner, it just might fall right on its table and then it's all exploded. In the case is the best place to put it when you're done practicing. Some people might feel a little bit lazy about the case thing on and off. So like me, if you rather want to practice when you see the cello when it's already outside, then just buy a cello support or holder, and then it's already ready to be played and you don't have to unclip the case all of the time. So right after you practice, use a little cloth like this. It could be any kind of really gentle soft cloth, so you can wipe off the excess rosin that has fallen on the table of the cello. You just want to make sure that the cloth is not wet, because anything wet will affect the varnish and it's really bad for the instrument. So don't put anything, just wipe the excess powder of the rosin. You could do the same thing with the bow as well and remove the excess dust on the stick. Talking about the bow, it is really important to make sure that you tighten it before playing, or else you're gonna get the sound of the stick in your own sound. And then after practicing, as soon as you're done, you release the tension from the hair, because if you keep the tension, then the curvature of the bow will get crooked, and it might also curve on the opposite side. Don't forget to use rosin on your bow, because that will make the sound. You really want to get all of the hair and coat them in some rosin. And here you have this metal part of the bow, and sometimes it gets really hard on the rosin, which is very fragile. So you could put your thumb right there to protect, and that way you go all the way to the bottom, but you hit your thumb, which is way softer, and then you don't destroy your rosin. I like to put a little more around the edge, because that's where I need it the most. There is no right amount of time after which you need to put rosin. It really depends on how much you practice and how much rosin you put on each coating. So make sure that you have enough. If you're unsure if you still have some on your bow, you could just check it up on your wrist, and if it leaves a little white trail, then that means that you still have some. You really don't want to touch the hair of the bow. You want to keep that away from fingers, from any kind of dust, the most of you can, because as soon as it gets dirty, like here you can see mine is a little dirty over there, it gets darker and it captures all of the dust from the stickiness of the rosin, and because of that, that affects the sound as well. So do not touch the hair, do not put anything on the hair beside rosin. Finally, you do not want to remove all of the string at once or loosen them all at once. if you want to tune the cello, or if you want to travel and reduce a little bit of the tension to make sure they don't snap. Keep them tuned as much as possible. If you release the tension of all of the string at once, what's going to happen is that the bridge will fall, and then the pressure is going to change on the table, and then the sound post is going to change place, and then all of the instrument setup will change and might collapse as well. That's a risk. So it's really important to keep them together. If you need to change a string, then do it one at a time. If there's any problem with your cello, bring it to the luthier. That's why it's so important to get a really good relationship with your luthier at first, because he's going to be the doctor of your cello, and you want to be able to trust his judgment. If he tells you, we need to do this change, we need to change this piece, well, you really have to believe in him that he's doing this for the best of the instrument care and not just to get some money out of, because there's some shady people out there in any businesses. If there's a crack, if there's anything that is not supposed to be there, if you can see there is something on your cello and it's split or something, bring it to the luthier as soon as possible, because especially on the table, if you get something, let's say here, and it's just gonna get wider and wider and might go across the whole table, and then changing that one piece is so expensive. Same thing with the back. Sometimes there is some procedure they have to do where they open the whole cello, then you have to do something inside and they have to close it up, and that's crazy expensive. So the sooner the better. If you can be preventive about it, that's really the best way to go. So I hope I was clearing up anything related how to take care of your cello. If there's any other question, ask them down below. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.